Good evening, friends, and welcome. This is Barb Pass, going to paint for you tonight. I have a Centurion 8x10 panel here, which we're going to put a little tone on here. And I'll show you what I've done here for a setup. I've become quite fascinated lately with painting from the view where you're looking. I'm not looking down on it directly, but I'm over to the side and kind of down. I've done a few of them lately, and I'm really enjoying the challenge of drawing it. I like it. The advantages of this is my background's there. We're going to look through our EasyL viewfinder, and we'll crop in on it, something like that probably. I've got some colored papers under there, so not to say I feel obligated necessarily to nail those colors, but my background is there. Unlike a still life where you look straight on, you paint it, and then you have to figure out how to paint your background. My background is there, so that's one big advantage to doing this. Like I said, I've done a few of these lately. Actually, I have a couple here on the easel. I'll spin you around and show you. The one on the left I did first. The one on the right I did Monday. I took those elements and painted that with my group, not with by myself, but anybody could have joined me if they'd have wanted. But anyway, I like the one on the right better. Those are pretty juicy, saturated colors for me, but it's all blues and greens, so I really like the color harmony, and I like all the elements. The rabbit I had to work, he was quite detailed. I love this little bowl. There he is too. But let me say this, I did spend a good 3 hours painting that. You do not want to watch me paint for 3 hours, I'm quite sure. So this could be 2 parts even. If I feel I need to. I like not to rush it. I like it to be successful. So I didn't tone this ahead, as you can see, so we'll very quickly put on. I have a big old tube that I've had for years of burnt sienna. So I'm just going to use that and get some color on this canvas before we start. I brought in my plein air easel. It's got the tripod base because it sets a lot more solid than that studio easel. Studio easel's great for bigger canvases, but when I use the little ones and I tape a panel on there, it just seems to shake all over the place. So I went up yesterday. You might have saw the short on it to the Historical Society here in town. They allowed me to come in and paint. Fun, you know. I was there before they opened, so no one bothered me. The one gentleman was there doing paperwork or something, but no public came by, and they were open 2 to 5, and he let me in there about noon. So I think I left about 2:30. So like I said, I didn't bother anybody, and it's an old house here in town that was donated to them. Very old house. I'm guessing at least 120, 150 years old. So the house is very charming on its own, and full of antiques, which I love. I had been there last week, and I said to him, "Boy, there's a lot of cool things there to paint, and it's a shame you're not open more." And he said, "Tell me when you'd like to come, and we'll make it happen." So wasn't that generous? So he let me in, and I kind of knew what I was going to paint because I had taken some pictures. So I painted up in the child's room a very old little chair with a couple old pair of shoes, you know, me and shoes. So pair on the chair, pair on the floor. So it's not finished. I tuckered out and left. So don't think I have to go back to finish it, but I am considering throwing a teddy bear in there. I looked up some old antique teddy bears, so I don't know, I thought that might be a nice element. All right, so we're going to look through this to set up our composition. Take some ultramarine and some transparent red oxide, make something very dark. Got a little brush to sketch with. All right, this probably will take a while to sketch. So again, we're looking down and at an angle. I got a little duck in there that I never have painted. I've owned it probably 25 years. It's surprising, isn't it? Trying to kind of look where things land. If you don't paint from life, it's tricky because every move you make, your objects move. And I'm not sure, but I would think this red teapot will be my most challenging thing to paint. I'm trying to make me some marks. So what I do is I look through and I say, okay, the top of the teapot hits about there. And because this has a grid, I just kind of visually imagine a grid and I make a mark to where I think, and it doesn't have to be exact. What if it's not? I mean, who would know? All right. So we'll just go to sketching here. If I can get, I usually feel like if I can get kind of one thing in place, I can kind of work off of that for everything else, you know. The workshop I did with Sarah Sedgwick, I've mentioned that before. She set up her still lifes like this for our workshop, and we all just got around the table and painted them. Sometimes there'd be, 3 setups on a table and 3 or 4 artists, and I liked it. It was, a different way to work. So when I came home, I tried it for a while, and then I'd gotten away from it, and so here we are again, right? I have so many props and things. I spend a lot of time playing with stuff. And I have put a light on this to create some shadows. And as you can see, I'm not always doing rounded lines. I can come back and do that later. I try to use negative space to help me sketch, like how far from the edge of this apple is the teapot. Again, it's tricky if you move too. It changes everything. How far from the edge of the duck to the edge of the teapot. You try to choose your composition wisely and your objects, and just some things work better than others. Like, I really like the one I did Monday, and I think part of it, again, is the color harmony. And I like the objects that I chose. But you know, I have so many failed attempts too that you start off thinking you like them. Get partway through sometimes even, and it's like, man, I am not feeling this. That's okay. Painting is hard. I'm always saying that. It is just continually hard. I watched Craig Nelson today. I mention him frequently. Find him on Facebook. He's worth it. He painted today a model live in just over an hour. I think he'll probably post the video on his Facebook page that you probably can go find it. He did a lot of it with a big gesso brush, which he uses frequently. Even that portrait, he did a lot of the portrait with that. It's like, geez, he's using that big brush again, you know? He's good with it. And he did a nice job on the portrait too. It was painterly. I liked the way he handled, the gentleman had glasses on, and I liked the way he handled, he painted the face first and then added the glasses, and he added the shadows that he saw first and the highlights. He just kind of worked his way in to the glasses. It was very interesting. And the plate hits the teapot about there, goes about there. And hopefully, I know that seems a bit jumbled. Hopefully it's interesting and it doesn't feel that way, you know, in the end. I would suggest to you is to look at other people's setups, see what they use. It's not really copying, you know, to use your own things and just get ideas for setups. But if you don't know what to put together, go looking at people's setups. Sarah Sedgwick, like I said, she works like this a lot. You can tell that by her. Go look at her work, Sarah Sedgwick. Carol Marine is another one that works looking down on stuff a lot, you can tell. I think the two of them are friends. I think they used to live in the same area, I don't know now. The handle, let me see if it goes past the plate. I think I feel like I need to have that plate out a little bit. I mean, use everything, like, you know, look at the shape of the hole and everything in your arsenal. Is that the right way to say that, you know? Okay. We're looking down in that. I could have put something in that even, you know, I have painted cups of tea, and you could put milk in it. You could do whatever you wanted. I didn't, but okay, now I feel like this is not as big as it should be. That probably was that original mark I had, huh? Woo, lots of blue. You never know, though, my workforce. But I've got, like I said, I've got all my shadows, which is nice. And then I've thrown in, like I said, I got a variety of papers, which is my background. We might run that one off. I don't know. Let's see. And that, let's see, we got another one here. See, it looks like fun. Doesn't it look like fun? And you can bring your eye in, you know, with like those kind of things might help bring your eye in. And then we've got a couple cherries down here. We'll see how they read later. We might even, I feel so we might even want to bring them over a little bit. We'll see. Looking at values too. I don't want to lose my drawing though completely. Okay, I feel like I've gone a little far with that spout. Need to bring it back a little bit. I don't want to, you know, I want to get things basically right so I don't feel like I'm redrawing it as I'm painting. I've done that, I've been there, you probably have too. You know, I don't want to, I've got a light to the left, so I have to think about that. I might want to ignore that shadow. I put it there, but I bet you that's probably coming from my ceiling light. My grandson for Christmas, wait a minute, let me see if I can grab this. He gave me this pad from Duluth. It's actually a pad. Did you see that? Oh no, you're looking up here. He gave me this big kneeling pad from Duluth, big rubber thing. And it actually, I think it's for gardening. But I'm gonna try to stand on it tonight. Give me a little more cushion. We'll see how that goes. I like to stand to paint. I know some people can't. All right, so let's get back to this. All right, I'm looking to lay in some of the somewhat dark, you know, thinking values too, so I'm laying in some of the darker areas. There's a shadow there, and here. It's Friday night. I don't know when I'll post this, probably tonight, but ain't much goes on Friday night. I find nothing good on TV, and so here I am. It's always good to paint, right? So this is the shadow that I'll look at. The reason I'm feeling like I should move my cherries more forward maybe is the stem from this teapot comes out here, and I kind of like that. You know, I kind of want to use that, so we may move our cherries down. We can even move that down if we need to. He's got a shadow from his beak and a shadow from his head. If you live in the Mason area, I don't think I mentioned this. Got a show at Sinclair College here in Mason. A friend of mine, one of the people in our Monday group, it opened up recently. Deepa is her name, and it'll be there, I think, until the end of March. Very diverse show. She works in all different mediums. She does those, I want to call them medallions, you know, with the dots of paint. She teaches classes in that. But she has fine art. She has poured paintings. Just a bit of everything, really. All right, let's see how that looks and see if there's anything I want to wipe off too. I'm always saying that this is your painting. I know for myself, if I don't get this part right, I just fight it terrible, you know. That's why I'm trying to get this pot right before we start. Weird little duck. Hopefully he reads right. Again, it seems like a lot of stuff, doesn't it? But hopefully keep your eye moving around and will be interesting. So where to begin? We could start any place. I think I'm going to start with the green apples. Now they're a cool green, so I think we'll start with some lemon yellow, which is our cool yellow. Let's try ultramarine with that, which is our cool blue. Now I'm going to take part of that and make it darker yet, because there's parts of these apples that are darker. Let's put some white in that too. That makes it very cool. So let's try some more yellow. And it still reads pretty cool. So I'm going to put a little Cad Yellow Medium in it to warm it up. Whatever you need to do to get there, right? And we could do this in palette knife, but man, you know, there's a lot here. I don't know if I want to deal with all that. All right, let's try to have some fun. I'm dipping my brush just a little bit in my, what's it called? Just trying to find the jar to show you. Here it is. Gamblin Solvent-Free Fluid. They make a gel if you like the consistency. It just depends on what consistency you like. I've been using this ever since I took my last workshop, and I just barely tip my brush into it and then I pick up paint. I would research it if, you know, depending on your medium. I'm not telling you what to do ever. I've got a bristle here because I would like, and I am getting, as you can see, I am getting into those darks. But I would like it to be painterly, so just starting with the lightest part of the apple that I see. And I'm just constantly readjusting my paint mixtures. I'm constantly making more and mixing up new color all the time. By doing that, you know, you get a variety of colors too. I actually got a bit of a light reflection here. I think it's from that plate right there. You know, by sketching with the dark too, a lot of times you end up with a lot of that showing through on your finished painting, which I like. Maybe you don't, but I do. All right, these are not where they belong. I can tell you now. By leaving them there, I'm pulling the... Let me ignore them and just get in my colors. Because the top of the apple is up here, and the top of this one. And there may be too much blue on there in the end, but we're just going to try to get the canvas covered. It's kind of warm in the middle. And we'll see. I may feel the need to come and readjust those some more, and if I do, I do. Let's go over to this guy, which he's kind of a tarnished silver, which is really, you know, a gray. I'm going to put the darks in that I see first. Try to remind myself over and over to be across the brush. That way I don't have the death grip on it, and I'm painting and I'm not drawing, so which is what I want. A lot of what's going on with this one is reflections, so that's what I'm looking for. I'm going to get that small brush for some of this. I mean, it's really kind of early for this, and we're just trying to get it covered, but like even the bottom of this spout, it's a tiny area. I'm trying not to overanalyze it at this point and just paint what I see. You know, highlights are going to make a big difference, and pull some harder edges, of course, will pull the tortoise too. I'm looking at back and forth at these apples too. Yeah, I'll probably be adjusting the green. I'm looking at the green from Monday on those apples behind me, and they're different. Don't know if it matters. Okay, let's go on. Maybe we'll go ahead and get this white in here below. It's white, but you know, white is never, you don't usually want to paint it white. I'm looking at this so I don't mess it up. I mean, if I do, I fix it, right? I did notice, I follow Sarah Sedgwick, and I did notice she posted something she did here recently, and she did, I noticed, do a very good value sketch before she started. And I don't think she does that all the time, but when I did her workshop, that was one of the things we did one day. We did a value sketch. You know, we spent a long time actually on it. Good exercise. And you could definitely do all the values in this before you started. Wouldn't hurt at all. Make sure I get this dark enough. By building the saucer too around it, you know, if I need to pull this in, it gives me an opportunity to see that too. All right, let's move on. Maybe we'll go after the duck. See a duck? Yeah. Goose? Don't know. Another silvery looking object. I tried to balance it out, you know, red. Those objects are similar. I mean, I did try to put some thought into it. It's a big brush to be doing this with. I'm not sure how I feel about that. We might switch it out. I said Craig Nelson did that so much of that portrait tonight with a gesso brush. If you know what that is, it's a ratty. You know, I have a box of them I bought, and I have one right here with my brushes. You know, I keep thinking maybe at some point I'll show it to you. Keep thinking I should whip it out, and see, it's pretty good size. But they're called a gesso brush. I mean, I don't know how it would be to do. Maybe we'll try painting one night with it. You know, I mean, I don't see I could possibly stay with it for the whole painting, but part of it anyway, huh? Keeping the side of the head darker. This guy's actually a candle. I got a candle inside him. Someone gave me this a long time ago. It's funny, the things you keep and the things you decide not to keep. I kept him for some reason. I must like him, right? Got a few highlights on him we'll put on later. He's got a pattern on him too. I don't know. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, the pad is not making my feet feel better. Took my shoes off. Maybe that'll help. Yeah, there's a thing on his tail, kind of a pattern, and down here too, which we might put in. You know, you get too picky, then that's drawing your eye. It's like, do you want that to draw your eye? He's got kind of a shape like that down there. Maybe. Throw in a few little details. I don't know whether we'll leave it or not. All right, let's keep moving. I'm seeing, you know, like this needs to be more rounded. And all right, let's look at the teapot. He's basically kind of a burgundy color. Oh, I got some pretty green on here, don't I? Kind of hated to waste it. What's everybody working on? If you're an artist, what you painting right now? I don't know what I'm doing. Just throwing that on because it's here. All right. Leave the apples alone, Barb. I might scrape them off in the end, right? I create a kite a mess on them. That's about where that center is. What really makes so many of these things is the highlights. In my opinion. Like with an eye, it just brings it to life. I'm not going to put highlights on these yet because I'm not at all sure. I'm not coming back to those. Isn't that funny? It should be like the easiest thing I'm doing here, and I'm playing around with them. And I chose to put them right next to each other. I'm not sure why. They look too cool green to me from here. Granted, let's just scrape some of this off so we're not fighting it later. That green's pretty cool. In reality, it's warmer than that, so we'll come back to those. Looking at the shape of them. I got to pay attention to what's the side and what's the top, and we're coming back to them. All right, teapot. Again, basically a burgundy kind of color. So we'll pull out some alizarin crimson. Okay. I'm going to put some red, warm red in it and warm some of it up. Going for any darks that I see first. There aren't many. The handle is dark. Of course, there's a dark line, but that small detail down in there. Where that joins that is darker. Okay. Down on the front here, it's much lighter. I think it's picking up reflection off of this surface. Actually, it's a bit green. Really, with the lid being the same color, I could have just blocked in the whole top. What's going to explain the lid is the white lighter edge around the lid. So I didn't really need to do that. I'll go over this with some red. It feels strange. One thing, when I'm not on camera and I'm painting by myself, I take a lot more breaks, which I think is good. Oops, sorry. I bumped you. That shape may not be just bright, but we can correct it when we do the background. What do you watch on Friday night? I haven't found much that interests me. My husband ends up on the PBS channels a lot, which they are great. See, I'm going to bring some of the color from the pot over onto the duck because I want color harmony. You know, we'll find it in here too. We'll just move it around. Kind of checking the shape of this. It doesn't have to be exact, you know. All right. We'll get some color here on these cherries while we're here. Like I said, this shadow came down and came out here, so I want to move these cherries down a little bit. Ooh, that's very intense. Too too soon for that. Just get some color there. These feel big enough? Maybe. It's one advantage staying with a bigger brush. You know, you don't get so picky. Highlight in there. It's been almost an hour. This is why we might be better in 2 parts. Like I said, I did spend about 3 hours on that one the other day. You know, it's nice not to feel rushed, and I feel like you don't want to sit here for 3 hours and watch me paint. See the detail on this? I'm not really liking that, to tell you the truth. I would like that to be more simplified, so. I mean, I don't mind the color there maybe, but I think he's better that way. All right, let's go back to our apples now that we've left them alone for a little bit. And again, they need to be warmer than I had them, so. Let's go after the darkest part of them first. Darker back in there, a little bit in here, back in there. when you think a green ball would be the easiest thing to paint, right? They must look pretty real, because when I was painting them on Monday, one of the girls said, well, when you're done, you can eat them. I said, they're not real. Again, they must look pretty real, huh? You know, and some of the green could even be on him. You know, just push that color around. Trying to give him more sense of being round. All right, that's an hour. Let's call it, and we'll do part 2. I'm tired, I need a break. All right, watch for part 2.